Hello everybody, my name's Staraptor, and this is another episode of Recap of Thrones. This is the last episode for Season 6 of Game of Thrones, Episode 10, titled The Winds of Winter. Yes, that is a reference to the book that George R.R. Martin still has to finish writing for A Song of Ice and Fire, the 6th book in that series, but I'm getting away from myself a little bit. So, before I jump into this finale, I want you to know that I will be talking every plot point. So spoilers everywhere, guys. Make sure you go ahead and watch the episode before you come back here and watch this. Ready? So let's go. I mean, last episode I was just praising episode 9. I didn't think there's any way they could follow that up. But they somehow managed to, and it was incredible. So let's get going with the rundown. So we go to King's Landing, where we have the trial of Loras underway for all his crimes, and in a shocking twist, he actually admits to them and wants to seek forgiveness and thereby pledges himself to the faith militant. Then we go to the other trial where Cersei doesn't arrive. People are getting suspicious, Marjorie particularly, so they do end up sending Lancel Lannister to look for Queen Cersei, and he stumbles upon this treacherous plot which involves wildfire that ignites underneath the Sept of Baelor, killing all of Queen Cersei's, or all of, she will be queen, all of Cersei's enemies in one fell swoop. Later, Cersei ends up getting revenge on Septa Olenna after all the times she said shame. And moving from that, in a shocking turn, Tommen finds out the death of his wife Marjorie and just jumps out the window to commit suicide. And finally in King's Landing, to cap it all off, I'd never even seen this coming. We had Cersei becomes queen and she sits on the Iron Throne with Jaime, her brother, looking at her doing it. Next up, we go to the twins, where Jaime is having a nice chat with Wilder Frey about how the Lannisters, they don't really need an alliance with the Freys because they always have to help out the Freys anyway, so what's the point? And another awesome scene that I did not expect, we had Arya killed in Walder Frey, getting her revenge. That's right, Arya is back in Westeros, everybody. No more Bravos. She got away from the two-faced god, or the many-faced god. And next up, we have a very cool place we haven't been to. We have Old Town, where, in the books, readers out there, you know how Old Town is like literally the oldest city in Westeros, but it's supposed to be so beautiful. They got the Citadel, which is the capital from where the Maesters are trained. So we have Sam and Gilly that go there, and Sam basically discovers the library, which was interesting because all the books are locked up. But yeah, that was such a huge library, so that will be a very prominent part of next season. Next up, we have Winterfell, so we have the fallout from the whole Bolton, Stark war that we had going on there. So we have Melisandre, which actually banished to south. She's banished to the south because we have Davos, which finds the little deer of Shireen. So he finds out that she burned him. He tells Jon this, and he banishes her. We also have Jon and Sansa. They're having a nice little chat about how things are going to be now. What's going to happen with the future of Winterfell. And then we have Sansa, who also confronts Littlefinger, and he actually kind of does like a makeshift proposal to her to be at his side while he sits on the Iron Throne. So we got a clear idea of what he's after at this point, although I think we could all speculate that was the whole thing going on this whole point. Then we have Jon, who is named King in the North, the White Wolf, by all his followers. They all bend the knee, take their swords, and say, King of the North! Here we go, King of the North again. Next up, we have in Dorne, we have Lady Olenna, who meets with Alara Sand and the Sand sisters, or Sand Snakes, yes, and they make a pact along with Varys to basically go after the Lannisters. So that is going to be really crazy. Next up, we have Meereen. So after the whole, battle with the Harpy, or Yunkai and Astapor and all those guys, we actually see that Dany leaves Daario behind on her journey. Tyrion advised her to do this so that she would have no connections. It would make her more of a force to be reckoned with. I guess maybe to show that she has no weakness of anybody they can exploit. And speaking of Tyrion, Dany actually appoints her as her Hand of the Queen. We know he has experience in season 2 ruling over King's Landing, so I mean, and he's been ruling in her stead ever since she's been away. So what more perfect of a pair could they be? And we have the Greyjoys, Targaryens, Dornish, and there might have been a Tyrell flag. The Dothraki, the Unsullied, all on ships headed for Westeros. That is the closing scene of the episode, and it's freaking, it's amazing. It's such an evocative image for sure. And the last location we had in tonight's episode, yes, there was a lot. We had the wall, and we see Benjen saying goodbye to Mir and Bran. He can't go past the wall because he's part undead, and they have magic against that. But then we also see Bran goes into Warg and goes with the tree, and he actually sees what happened with Ned Stark at the Tower of Joy and Dorne. So we see him finding Lyanna that had given birth to none other than Jon Snow. Still kind of unclear about who the father may be, but it's like a 90% chance that it's Rhaegar Targaryen. So that'll do it for the rundown of this week. Let's get into the strengths of the episode. And wow, there is a lot of things I really enjoyed about this episode. Probably more than anything I've ever watched on TV. Quite frankly, it's freaking crazy. So we're going to start off with the slow buildup of the wildfire bombing. Watching it, I had no idea what was going on. They were switching between different characters, Tommen, Cersei, the trial, the people in the Sept of Baelor. You have no idea what's going, and the music plays perfect into it. This kind of haunting, you're unknown of what's happening, and then you start to see the plans unfolding, and I'm thinking in my head, like, are they seriously doing this right now? Like, this is going to change everything in Westeros. Holy crap. And you find out that all the wildfire just ignites everything, and so many key players are dead. And, the repercussions of that even cause other characters to die out of their own, just despair, like Tommen. So it's unbelievable. In one fell swoop, as I mentioned before, Cersei was able to do this. Cersei this season, I thought she was dead. This episode, I thought for sure. This whole season building up to like how useless she has become. She has all her power stripped away. Ever since the Walk of Shame, she's been going in a downward spiral. They were saying there was no more trial by combat. So, she accepted that there was no way to get out of there. So she had quite a plan there with Qyburn, and it's insane to see how she took a 180 from where I thought she would be. I really thought she would be 6 feet under at the end of this episode, but no, she is now the most powerful person technically in Westeros. Can't wait to see more. Next up, I really enjoyed the banter between Samwell and that guy, that one maester, when he visits the old town. I thought it was pretty funny how Samwell was just like being like a jokester with Gilly at the end of the conversation. The guy was all like, "No women and children," and he just like shouted at him. And then you see Samwell just kind of shrugging and like using like gestures to be like, "I'll be right back," pretty much. And I thought that was just like great little thing of humor in the episode. And speaking of Citadel, like man, it was just like really cool because you see parts of the intro that we see every week to Game of Thrones, like the big globe spinning metal thing. You see that in Old Town, and that Old Town is probably the most technologically advanced out of any of the nations in the world of Game of Thrones. So you can kind of see like it's a really interesting thing to see like the intro and the same stuff in there. So I thought that was really cool. Also, winter is actually here. It's not coming anymore like it's been for since season 1. Winter is finally here. We've seen all the White Ravens go out. You know, it's literally here. And how are people gonna, take this? Are people gonna just read the letter and throw it out like probably like Cersei will do? Like, we don't even care. We're too far south to even care. The people in the north are definitely gonna care because those guys are the closest to what the destruction of the White Walkers will be. So I can't wait for it. Arya Stark, I mean, come on, that was just so shocking of a moment. Like, I had no idea where that was going. I didn't even think about it until she went to make the gesture of pulling off the mask. Then I was like, no way. Just the fact that Walder Frey was about to eat his own kids. That is just so ironic, man. This is just one of the craziest things I've seen. Literally, it's just so nuts to see that happen. Next up, I want to put a little thing in here about Benjen fighting the White Walkers as a dead man himself, like Talion from Shadows of Mordor, that video game. I think it's pretty cool how we see like behind the scenes. I wish they would kind of make a video game or something over like you play as Benjen Stark, half White Walker, half human. He just goes around and slays like the freaking leaders of, literally somebody make that game. It'd be awesome. And next up, I have Lyanna Mormont standing up for Jon after a meeting that makes everybody go King of the North. Like, I thought that was brilliant. Like, this girl is like 10 years old or whatever, and she's somehow like rallying the people. Like, she is such an influential person at such a young age, and I mean, experience will do that for you when you're thrust into a situation where you're the only one next in kin. You kind of have to grow up fast. And she's been around the block, apparently, and she knows, like, when people are, lying and everything else, and she doesn't take shit for it. Like, so she's calling these people out. And if people are literally, like, you have, like, Wyman Manderley literally admitting to it. You have Glover literally admitting to their wrongs because they've seen how much of a great ally, let's say, Jon Snow would be. So he's literally like, they gotta stick together, and they say King of the North, just like it's been for a thousand years. And next up, I have just the way the finale concluded. So we got a glimpse of our 3 main factions going into season 7. We have, of course, Jon Snow, who is the King of the North. He's got all the alliances up there. But then we have Cersei Lannister sitting on the Iron Throne with that crown. Pretty much so. The only allies she has are just her own house, like just the Lannisters. Because then we have the huge army of Daenerys Targaryen, which includes the Greyjoys, the Unsullied, the Dothraki, the Tyrells, and the Dornish. I mean, come on. And the dragons, of course. Like, how do you stand up to a foe that large? They have like 1,000 ships or something. It's going to be interesting because there is going to be more havoc than what we've even imagined. Like, I mean, I can just imagine these battles. Like, look at last episode. I mean, that was a relatively small battle compared to what we're going to get in season 7 and season 8. It's going to be absolute insanity. So yes, another great thing about this finale, and what made it the best finale out of all the Game of Thrones finales so far, is the way it was able to resolve so many plot lines effectively and efficiently. Again, this was the longest episode of Game of Thrones in history, over an hour long. But they still managed to keep me, entertained, just my eyes glued on the TV. So, like, it was insane, and they were able to pull it all together. A lot of shows kind of stumble, and like I was saying, usually episode 9 is the high point, and then episode 10 following that is usually like the falling action. So we're kind of setting up for the next season, and some things will be resolved, some things don't. But this one, it kind of tied a bow on everything and said, okay, here is the end of this story arc. We are starting a story arc for season 7 and 8, literally picking up with the next season. Like, it's really, really great how they did that. Next up, what really set this episode apart from any other that I've seen is the music by Ramin Djawadi. This guy is going to be, I proclaim, he's going to be the next John Williams. This guy's done a lot of other projects, but he is most known for this, I'm pretty sure. And just so many key moments in this episode were enhanced so much by his music that it literally brought on the feels hard for me. Like when you see the revelation of Jon Snow being the son of Lyanna Stark, that he plays such wonderful music that fades from the baby's eyes to his eyes, like holy crap. And like the end scene was just so strong. The beginning of the episode, you had no idea what the heck was going on. Very mysterious kind of music. This guy, like, pretty much gives music a character in this. Makes music a character in this. So I applaud you, Ramin Djawadi. So yes, this episode, obviously, I've really enjoyed this. I will say there were some weaknesses, just a couple. First off, I didn't really buy the reveal of Jon's parents. Now, I'm a book reader, as I said. Of course, we all know the speculation of R plus L equals J. You know, Rhaegar plus Lyanna equals Jon. I didn't like how she whispered the directions to him. I mean, we could buy what it was. Like, we all know what it's about. Why are you protecting? For who's the husband? There could only be one choice, I mean, right? I mean, I'm like 95% sure it's Rhaegar, even though it wasn't said. It was kind of implied, I guess you could say, in a way. But I want to hear your guys' thoughts on that specifically. Like, did you like how they revealed it? I just really didn't like how they revealed it. And one other thing, which is kind of, it's really weird, honestly, like, the timing with Varys on the ship at the end scene, because a couple scenes before that, he was in Dorne, you know, talking about fire and blood to the Tyrells and the Dornish making their alliance. And next thing you know, he's all the way back in Meereen, sailing on the same ship as Daenerys. Like, last time I checked, he's not like a magic user or something. Like, how the hell did he just teleport? Again, a minor nitpick when you consider all the other incredible things that happened in this episode. My quote of the episode will be when Jon Snow replied to Sansa, who said, "Winter is here," and he says, "Well, Father always promised, didn't he?" Like, I thought that was great, because we always hear, "Winter is coming, winter is coming, winter is coming." It's like, finally, it's here. We don't have to wait any longer. But guys, that was my recap / reaction of Game of Thrones Season 6, Episode 10, the finale. This might be my favorite episode of Game of Thrones. Like I just discussed, that everything fits so nicely at the end. Amazing score by Ramin Djawadi. Just incredible shocks. Like I don't think we had that many people die, that many significant people get killed in a single episode of Game of Thrones. It is just wild. But guys, I'm going to be doing my Season 6 review very shortly, so please stay tuned for that. I may do this again next year with Season 7, although I hear it's only going to be 7 episodes. I may do a recap, probably will. So stay tuned for that, and as always, just keep checking out my YouTube page. I will do other things like Star Wars and game reviews and whatnot, so please stay tuned. Again, comment in that comment section below. What'd you think of tonight's, or, you know, the episode 10 of Game of Thrones? Did you think it was maybe the best episode ever? I sure think it is. And maybe of TV in general. Seriously. Alright, guys. I'm Staraptor, and winter is here. Did you enjoy this video? Then make sure you go ahead and hit that thumbs up symbol. And if you like this video, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below. Subscribing to my channel will help me out, and it helps you guys out, keeping up to speed on all my latest content. Speaking of which, you can catch my weekly Star Wars show down over there. You can see a recent review I've done over there, and you can follow me on social media, Twitter @Staraptor, as well as Facebook.com/Staraptor.